Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at. I'm so pleased that you are with us. So ecstatic that you are with us. I'm really pleased that you've chosen to join us. Please come on in. Come on in. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension. I'm truly hoping that you are with us, that you are able to hear my voice clearly, that you are ready to focus on the traditions of our ancient African ancestors. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, come on in, come on in. I see that the Jati of Arizona, of Phoenix, Arizona, that we could easily just refer to as Bennu. Did you know that the idea of a phoenix was actually a Kemetic concept? And that's the reason why you'll hear us refer to Phoenix as Bennu, because that was the name that our Kemetic ancestors gave to that bird that burst into fire and annihilation and then is reborn all anew. That was the name, Bennu. So I'm saying Ankin Ma'at to you all. Come on in, come on in. You know that when we begin, we are going to describe right off the bat where you are in the world. Tell us where you are in the world and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. Tell us where you are in the world and how long you've been part of Kemetic Ascension. How long have you been joining us for these gatherings? Let us know, let us know. We have a bunch of folks coming in. I see Solomonic TV, Ankin Ma'at to you. I see Media Out TV, Peace from Paris, France, Ankin Ma'at to you. That's a quite a distance away. Wonderful. Peace, peace, peace. Ankin Ma'at to you. I see Gil Prescott, Blessings in Hotep. King's Vendetta, peace to you too, bro. Onuris Benu Mantu Ra, a name that we see every Kemetic Ascension. Ankin Ma'at from Savannah, Georgia. Ankin Ma'at to you. Septopia Black. Ankin Ma'at. Septopia Black, I kind of believe that I know you under another name, right? Don't I? Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to Sinette Essence. Essence Divine, who is in Waterbury, Connecticut, a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to you. Oh, Chris MVP Harris. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear brother. It's wonderful that you're here. That is my extremely astute and erudite brother who is able to, in many ways, dismantle false concepts with knowledge from our ancestors. I'm honored that you're here. Peace, my dear brother. Ankin Ma'at. I see Setopia Black says they're coming from San Antonio, Texas. Ankin Ma'at. We have Robert Bunag, who is coming to us from Daly City, California, near San Francisco. Ankin Ma'at, and his girlfriend is in Los Altos, near San Jose. Ankin Ma'at to you. I see Owen Oniris is saying that he's been here for about 6 months. Ankin Ma'at. We see Curtis Jackson, Sen Curtis, who is a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to you. Curtis Jackson is in, is it Painville, Indiana? Is that where you are now? It might be. It might be. And I know you used to come to us from, I want to say, far out in Pennsylvania. Confirm that for me, please, Sen Curtis. We see Gil Prescott coming to us from Kingston, Jamaica. Ankin Ma'at. Ra says you're from Washington, D.C., but you live in Soho, New York. Ankin Ma'at, listening since 2020. That's not far from here. Ankin Ma'at to you, Ra. And we see Sen Jason Holmes from Lincoln, Nebraska, about 7 years. He is one of our full and very active members. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sen Jason. Ankin Ma'at. Septopia Black is Darren Taylor. I don't recognize that name, but I seem to recognize Septopia Black. Maybe we're just friends on Facebook. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sen. We see Della Fulton. Ankin Ma'at. She is the better half of Sen Nahisi and coming to us from Miami. a couple who are two wonderful members of the Shrine of Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sinet Della, Ankin Ma'at. And I see Curtis is saying he's traveling to Pittsburgh. Yes, I know. I believe you're from Pittsburgh, right? I think you're from Pittsburgh. Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at. We see Jared Williams tuning in from Mississippi, watching for over 8 months. Ankin Ma'at to you, Ankin Ma'at. We have Heru Duhudi Patal, Umika-Temra, Ankin Ma'at. You missed the other week while traveling. That is Sen Ernest. Heru Duhudi Patal, Umika-Temra is actually one of our full members. Ankin Ma'at to you, Mur, coming to us from Oakland. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear brother. Good to know you're out there. Ankin Ma'at to Free Mind from San Antonio. We see Mars Goodman coming to us from the Lower East Side. Ankin Ma'at. Kimberly Blue, one of our full members. Ankin Ma'at coming to us from the DMV area. Ankin Ma'at. Painesville, Ohio. Ankin Ma'at. I said Indiana. I really, really know that it is Ohio. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sen Curtis. We see Taseti, Ankin Ma'at, almost 2 years now. Wonderful. Dr. Jesse Lynn saying grand risings from Malibu, California. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ooh, have a little bug in my throat. Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to Wilnet Louise, Efu Ma'ati, Robinson, Obajewa, Offset. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ujahi, she is saying. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sinet. Residing between Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Baltimore. Abojua. I always mess up your name. Listen, Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at. And sorry for that. Waiting for me to come to Trinidad. I would love to come to Trinidad. We have to link up and figure out how to do that. Absolutely. It's not a place that I've been yet. Yeah, I see the spell checker. I got you, Taseti. Ankin Ma'at to Smoking Conversations with Sakina-Ra. Sakina-Ra is one of our full members for the last 3 years, coming to us from Grand Forks, North Dakota. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to Sen Ronald Green, coming to us. Are you in New York City? I'm trying to remember where you are, Ronald Green. Ankin Ma'at. We see Sen Corey Randall. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at, dear Sen. We just chopped it up in Whole Foods in Harlem forever. Sen Corey is actually one of our full members. He and his wife are. Ankin Ma'at to you and the boys. Ankin Ma'at, it was good to run into you and just chop it up a little bit in Whole Foods. Ankin Ma'at, Sen Corey. Sen Corey's been a member of the Hemsanu, so he's been a member for quite some time. Ankin Ma'at to Big Payback Porter. Ankin Ma'at, coming to us from Maryville for 4 years. Ankin Ma'at, Big Payback Porter is always here when we have Kemetic Ascension. We see our Hemnetter, Jamar, coming to us. I'm hoping you're back in Long Island by now. Abu Jamar, Hemnetter Jamar was with us for our tour of the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. yesterday. I'm so honored that he came and brought some of his peeps with him. They drove down there and he filmed quite a bit, and folks were excited to see him too, because you know that our dear Jamar actually has quite a following on the social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook. So I was so glad that he was there. Ankin Ma'at, it was good to see you with my own eyes in person. Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to Sen Cortia. Aau Jehuti-Ra. Aau Jehuti-Ra. I have to get used to your name and get rid of me missing. Well, you have Senet Cortia in there too. Senet Cortia, Ankin Ma'at to you. I know you're in the ATL, a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at. We have Ra Amin Aum. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at. Shane the Watcher, 616. Ankin Ma'at, you're officially an arborist now. I want to know what that's like. Does that mean that you actually plant and cultivate trees? Is that what that is? You take care of them in the area that you're in? That would be a very interesting story to tell, Ankin Ma'at. Solomonic TV says, how was the trip yesterday? It was magnificent. In fact, I should have prepared to show you a picture or two. It was absolutely magnificent. And I have to say to you that we had the kind of day. I'm exhausted. I certainly considered for a moment, to be honest with you, that I might actually say, oh my goodness, I am tired. How about we just not have Kemetic Ascension today and postpone? But I know that it is so important, so critical for us to gather and to continue to be with you. So even though I'm sure I am going to literally pass out, I just got home this morning after taking my mom and my sister. I'm sure I'm going to pass out afterwards, but I want to say to you that it was absolutely amazing. I don't know how else to describe it. It really was an amazing journey. Let's see, who else do we have here? Ankin Ma'at to Ronald Green's in Alton, Illinois. Yes, wonderful. Ankin Ma'at. There's Iheru. Iheru, didn't we link up yesterday? I'm quite sure we linked up and had a long conversation yesterday outside the museum. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to Peya Israel, coming to us from Hawaii. That is probably further away. I think it takes longer to get to Hawaii than it does to Paris, France, which means you might be the person that is the furthest away. Wonderful. Ankin Ma'at, 200 stars sent. Oh, wonderful. Dr. Jesse Lynn, Ankin Ma'at to you. And Dwa for reminding me, please, I'm really hoping that those of you who are watching and are able will make donations to the shrine and will also assist us by sending stars on Facebook and even sharing this gathering, which would be absolutely wonderful. Please do so, because as we always say, we don't do this for money, but we do need money to do it. So please assist if you can. Ankin Ma'at to Linnaeus Cenerity from Los Angeles, but in North Carolina right now. Ankin Ma'at. I see Ra is saying, have I noticed that The Lion King is another interpretation of the Assarian drama? Yes, I have noticed that. Absolutely. When it first came out, we were talking about the fact that these dramas draw from the oldest written African traditions. And we should recognize that so many stories are retellings of that great story. A wonderful, wonderful symbolist, Joseph Campbell, once said, there's only really one story. There's only really one story, and everything else is a retelling of it. I think that if we had the ability to ask him, he would acknowledge that one of the oldest tellings of that story is the Assarian drama. Definitely one of the oldest of the tellings that are written. Absolutely. There are less than 11,000 of us in the world, and many less than that are Black. I wonder what you're referring to. I think you're responding to something. Ankin Ma'at to Jabari Simba, viewing from Kentucky. Oh, yes, my solar return was last week. Ankin Ma'at to you. Dwa, dwa, dwa. I guess it was the week before. I see Solomon TV saying you wish that he was there. We had a wonderful, wonderful day, and I wish you were there as well. It looks like Sinette Della is saying you're hailing from Miami, not healing from Miami. Healing from Miami is maybe even more powerful, Sinette. Yes, I did see you. Ankin Ma'at. Yes, I did see you. We talked for quite a bit, right? Ankin Ma'at, Iheru. Ankin Ma'at to Kareem Ahmad Reed from South Carolina by the way of Philadelphia. Ankin Ma'at. And there goes Ronald Garrison, who is Kwame Ron. I don't always recognize Ronald Garrison, but you know I know Kwame Ron. Kwame Ron is one of the individuals that Anika and I were instilled with in Ghana. He's part of the same installment family. I'm telling you, Nana Kwame, I really hope that we're able to chop it up and see each other soon. I know that it would be wonderful for us to just have some food together instead of breaking bread as someone in our tradition, maybe chewing some broccoli. Ankin Ma'at to you. It's good to know you're out there. Ankin Ma'at to the Cosmic Channel. Do you have any info on the eclipse? Is it good or bad, and what should we do? Maybe we'll talk about that for a little bit. I hadn't considered doing that. Ankh Ma'at to Michael Herbert, Sen M, who was certainly there yesterday, and I had not seen him with my own eyes for a minute. Ankh Ma'at to you. It's good to see you in person. Sentudi Forever says, how was my experience with the earthquake? I'm going to tell you, there's been so much that has happened since Friday that I almost forgot about the earthquake. I was officiating a memorial, a funeral for those of you who are familiar with the Sonnetter Studios sort of gathering. Let me say to you that someone who was very prominent there, Brother Morpheus, lost his son and was really, as you can imagine, in great pain. So I was able to officiate that funeral. And right before I was preparing to officiate, we felt everything shake. We said, this ancestor is making himself known. It was amazing. And then by the time I had gotten back preparing to head out to Queens to grab my mom and my sister, and then eventually to go to DC, I felt a very strong aftershock around 6. And I remember feeling it and thinking, oh, this is definitely an aftershock. This is not a train. This is not a bus. This is not a truck. That's an aftershock. And so we only hope that that is actually an aftershock and not a harbinger of a major earthquake, which is due in New York. I don't know if you know that every 200 years or so, New York has a massive major earthquake. Our structures are not built for that. We have lots of strong stone and mortar, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful, durable material, but it's not meant for earthquake settings. When you're in a building for an earthquake, you want steel that can bend a bit more and that just doesn't fracture and crack for stone. So I'm really hoping that it's not a harbinger. Usually you wait at least 72 hours to see if there's going to be a larger one. So I guess we're talking about Saturday, Sunday. By Monday, if there's going to be something worse, it would happen within the next 24 hours or so. So I'm really hoping that all of you are also aware of it. If you're on the Eastern Seaboard, let's hope that you're also aware of it as well. Okay. Ankh Ma'at to I'm missing people. Look at this. There's Sen Lak. That we're looking over there at that great couple, Kenya and Larry, out of Jersey. Ankh Ma'at to you all. Ankh Ma'at. We have to chat up about your recommitment ceremony. Ankh Ma'at to you. Ankh Ma'at to Caleb Bryson from Greensboro, North Carolina. Ankh Ma'at to Onaje Bryant, who is always with us. Ankh Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at to Jamron Norman, who was always here. Ankh Ma'at to Kerwin Jimerson from Arizona. Wonderful. There's a bunch of folks in Arizona. Are you near Bennu? Are you near Phoenix? That would be interesting. Ankh Ma'at once again to let's see. Oh, Ankh Ma'at. I see Kerwin Jimerson is connected to Sen Jason. Wonderful. That's great. That's great. Ankh Ma'at to Sen Clee Ford, who is out here in NYC and is a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at. Let me say to you, if I have missed any of you, please recognize that you should chalk it up to my head and not to my ob. I am here, and I want you to know that I am honored that you've chosen to spend much of your Sunday with us. It is magnificent that you are here. We are honored that you are here, and we truly recognize that you are those people that are connected to our African ancestors in a very tangible way. This is critically important. Let's recognize with all of the things that we've been through, with all of the challenges that people of African descent have been through, it is not easy to acknowledge, to recognize that we are still here. There's so many of us that have been infected by the negative, racist propaganda about our people and don't even want to acknowledge that they are part of us. You have gone further, beloved. You have gone much further, Kmeti. You have decided that you will be practitioners of these ancient traditions. It is of critical importance that we acknowledge your steadfastness to our traditions. Ankh and Ma'at to you all. And let me always say Ankh and Ma'at to Anitra Barkley, one of our full members coming to us from Spartansburg, South Carolina. Wonderful, wonderful. I see you, Sakina Ra. Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at to Lynn Umbutu. That is Tracy Fafanta. I saw you yesterday. I was so wonderful to see you. One of our full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. It was good to see you. Haven't seen you in such a long time. I didn't even recognize you. You were looking amazing, Sinette. And it was wonderful to see you. So please, for those of you who are members of the Shrine or just folks that are connected to Kemetic Ascension and are in the family of the Shrine of Ma'at, please make sure that you are prepared. I'm going to be traveling about the country a bit more in the next year or two. And I would love to be able to go someplace and meet with Shrine members, break bread, chew broccoli, enjoy ourselves, and then go back. So we're going to be doing that much, much more so that we're able to really begin to see each other in person. So many of our members are around the country, and I want to be able to see you as well. Ankh and Ma'at Broke Never says that he's there in Toronto. We are going to announce when we have our next initiatory rites. It will probably be, I think we usually do it in the early part of the year, but there was so much going on in my life, to be quite frank with you, that I did not have the bandwidth to do it then. I'm looking at doing it in the fall, so stay tuned. We will announce it very soon. Let's see. Ankh and Ma'at to you all. So, you all know that we begin Kemetic Ascension in the way that our elder has told us it is appropriate. Our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Sepata, who has told us that before we do anything important, we should do what is called the opening of the way. It is that ritual that was put into its current configuration by this grand elder. And it allows us to recall just how infinite, just how marvelous, just how inferal we are. It allows us to remember that all of those trials and tribulations that we face are beneath us. And that as elements of the Neteru, as elements of the divine, there is nothing that we are incapable of. When you start your day or begin to proceed through anything of challenge with that understanding, with that divine connection, you are able to surmount any challenge. You are able to complete any task. You are able to recognize that anyone or anything that seeks to set you astray is not worth you. And so we do the opening of the way. Please remember, you should stand. And let me say to you, for our next Kemetic Ascension, what we will be doing is I am going to ask that members of our Shrine of Ma'at community come on to our live on StreamYard and do the opening of the way and do Hesi, because it shouldn't. I've always said that Kemetic Ascension is too Hennetter and Tepi Jabari too focused on me. We want to hear from you. We have full members. We have folks that have been part of this community that are not necessarily full members, but people who are with us, who are certainly part of the Shrine of Ma'at family, that should actually be doing these things. And you shouldn't just look at this bald-headed brother with an ankh on his crown speaking to you the entire time. So I'm really hoping that what will happen is you will come forward and do that. What we'll do is we'll give you the link during Kemetic Ascension at the early part, and then hopefully some of you will come on in and do the opening the way for us, and we'll do Hesi for us. We're looking forward to that. That is what we are looking to do next. So can we please stand? Remember, even though I'm the one that's on camera, this is not meant to be theater. It is meant that you will do the opening of the way with us. And in doing the opening of the way, we hope that you will become proficient in the opening of the way and do the opening of the way regularly. So what does that mean? It means you should stand with your left foot forward. You should put your palms in front of you, expose them in front of you, and put the left palm a little bit further forward than the right palm, and the right palm a bit further back, and even a little bit lower. This is known as the pose of adoration. And from here, what we will do is we will begin by chanting the word of everlasting life, Ankh, Ankh. Let us begin. Anetrok in Bedhet, Nuke in Bedhet, Anetrok Hapi, Nuke Hapi, Twal Winter, turn to your right. Anetrok Sirket, Nuke Sirket, Anetrok Kebsenuf, Nuke Kebsenuf, Twal Inter. Let's turn once more. Anetrok Ast, Nuke Ast, Anetrok Amset, Nuke Amset, Twal Inter. Anetrok Neat, Nuke Neat, Anetrok Dwa Mutef, Nuke Dwa Mutef, Twal Winter. Anetrok Newt, Newt Nuke, Anetrok Geb, Nuke Geb, Twal Winter. Anetrok Shu, 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 Nuke Shu. Anetrok Tefnut, 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 Nuke Tefnut, Twal Winter. Anetrok Paut in Teru, Nuke Paut in Teru, Anetrok in Boo in Teru, Nuke and Boo in Teru, Twal Winter. Twal Winter. Dwa, 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 dwa. Dwa for doing the opening of the way with me. Remember, this divine ceremony, this divine ritual was brought to us by our elder, Baba Heru Angra Samad Sepata. And we ask that you remember to do the opening of the way whenever you are about to do anything important. It will remind you just how powerful, just how infinite, just how amazing you actually are. If you are able to do it, you will absolutely recognize that frequently you will feel the energy of our ancestors through the rituals of our ancestors. The ritual of our ancestors allow us to do amazing, amazing things. So let me go ahead and do what we do next. That is what we call Hesi. And for those of you who are relatively new, you might know that Hesi is gospel before gospel. Hesi is mantra before mantra. Hesi is the manner in which our ancient African ancestors galvanized divine energy, divine power through affirmation and also in harmony. This is amazing. And you know that recently I have really, really been excited to do something perhaps a little bit different, to actually allow us to look at some of the work of our elder. He has really been on my mind and on my heart. I hope that he is on yours as well. I'm going to play a little bit from Baba Heru at and his Atenra ensemble at Sutton's Jazz Pub. This is a long time, something that we have done before. I'll talk a bit about the eclipse in a moment, but I want you to take a look at Baba Heru performing with his band. This is in the 1980s. Now, listen, when I think of the 1980s, I don't necessarily think that they're that long away. And then my back reminds me. We are talking about something that happened literally probably over 40 years ago. And so this is a long time. Sutton's Pub doesn't exist anymore, as you can imagine. It's been a really long time. So I want you to take a look at this performance and enjoy. We're not going to play all of it, obviously, but I think you'll enjoy this bit. Take a look. Please let me know if you can hear. Look at a much younger Baba there with hair. Seeing one of the priestesses, Shoshani, doing the Ankh ceremony. There's another priestess on the other side doing the Ankh. I don't know if you're grooving. I know I am. that man on the drum. In the back on percussion. Look at their outfit. 1987. Look at that. Look at that. Now, I know that I just enjoy looking at that. It is just amazing to see this gathering and the music, and hopefully we'll be able to do something similar to our root shrine eventually, and do something very similar in the Shrine of Ma'at. I just think that was just absolutely amazing to see them. Now that is really Hesse, right? I mean, think about it. Sometimes Hesse has lyrics and the like, but this was less focused on the lyrics and much more focused on the vibe, on harmonizing together. And that was just amazing. I can only imagine what those folks sitting in the audience were doing. What were they doing? What were they doing? Just beautiful. Just never. And I truly enjoy those experiences. I know I would not be a member of the Shrine of Ptah for another 10 years. This is 10 years before I was a member of the Shrine of Ptah. And it was, yes. Oh, and Ankh Ma'at said, Jenikon Malo, he said they were eating. Did you see the food coming through too? By the way, one of the other things that I notice is this particular video is really over 3 hours long, right? I mean, that was just the beginning. But at one point, Baba says greetings to someone, and an elder stands up, and there's briefly a moment where they actually pan into that person, and that person is a young Ashra Kwesi. I thought that was fascinating as well. A young Ashra Kwesi was there. Ashra Kwesi is not from New York City, but he was in New York at the time, and I thought that was a magnificent too. Something that you only notice if you watch virtually all 3 hours of the video. And at one point, people just get up and start jamming. I'm telling you, it is beautiful. And I'm hoping that you also will watch it, will enjoy it. In fact, here's the point where young Ashra Kwesi comes in. Take a look at this.
You're gonna have to get a long ride around this earth so many times to even write the first chapter of our roots. There you go.
now. Oh, here he is.
Use Mama, and the women are going to use Baba. Okay? Now you all know that is, right? What those words mean?
You see him right there?
So now, men.
Look at the young Usher Quasi.
First, just
Did you see that? That's Usher Quasi right there. I mean, I just want you to get a sense of what this is like, right? I mean, that is just amazing when you see that. That's just amazing. 1987, nearly 37 years ago. I was, I guess, 15 at the time. Certainly not connected to the shrine. I wouldn't be connected to the shrine for virtually another 10 years or so. And it was just, I mean, this is just a magnificent gathering. I wish that we had those gatherings again. And there are people who are connected to this shrine that could make it happen. I see Hemnetter Jamar saying he needs that song. I know that you're going to do something quite amazing with it when you get it. Let's just say that. And I know that it's the kind of stuff that you might want to be able to take a look at. There's the link to the full video. It's on the Shrine of Ma'at YouTube page, posted about 6 years ago. It's the whole thing is more than 3 hours long. Take a chance and look at it one of these days. Just play it in the background and and vibe with it, and then look up and imagine this was on VHS. You can see the quality of the video by our standards today is quite poor. This is really old. It's just amazing that we still have access to it. Baba found some old videos several years ago, and he asked me to digitize it. That's the way I was able to get access to this video to be able to show it to you today. And you can see I played a much longer clip than we would normally play for Hesi. I just wanted you to feel the vibe of it. There is more that we should be doing and bringing into our tradition in the Shrine of Ma'at, and looking at our root shrine do some powerfully harmonious things. It should inspire us. It should truly inspire us. So some of the folks that are in that video are ancestors now. I believe at least 2 of the priests and 1 of the priestesses, they are ancestors now. They were part of my initiation, by the way. I recognize these people. I've long forgot some of the names. They have long forgot some of the names. But they were part of bringing me into the tradition, along with Baba Heru. And it's just amazing to see this. Are we creating as vibrant and ebullient a legacy in the Shrine of Ma'at that there will be those that will look at what we are doing 40 years from now and say, this should inspire us? That's the question we should ask ourselves. And it's certainly a question, as the Hemnetter and Tepi, that I am asking myself. I am inspired by this and pushed to want to do much more. So I'm hoping you enjoyed it. I did put the link in the chat. If you'd like, you can go take a look at it. And I'm truly hoping it will inspire, it will vivify you as well. Okay. So let's talk about what we are meant to talk about today. And you know that I have put out on social media, and I know that you're probably watching on Facebook, watching on Instagram. Instagram is going to cut off soon, unfortunately. Where StreamYard is only able to stream about an hour of this gathering. So I want you to know, if you are watching on Instagram or on YouTube, on Instagram, that you should probably switch to our YouTube channel within the next 10 minutes, or to our Facebook page within the next 10 minutes, so you can see the full gathering. Instagram and StreamYard have not completely worked out their integration process yet. And it's something that I'm hoping that they will do soon. But I want you to know that what I truly would like to do is talk to you about what I believe is an important topic, talk to you about something that I think would be magnificent for us to keep at the forefront of our minds as we move forward today. I'd like for us to think about how we are able to move into, let me present for a moment, how we are able to ensure that we are always doing that which we should be doing and always elevating that which needs to be elevated. What am I referring to? I am talking about thinking, giving some thought to how we can continue, how we can ensure that we are always open and ready for new beginnings. And I'm bringing this to us today as part of the word from the Seba'it, because I want us to think about the new beginnings that so many of us feel are necessary as the earth rejuvenates itself in spring. We can see that we are firmly in spring. We can see the earth is shooting forward life right now. And when that happens and we get more sun, you tend to feel like it's time that it's time to do something anew, that those things that might not have been serving you during the long winter can now be dispensed with. This is beautiful and natural and part of what human beings have done for millennia. What is the power of new beginnings? How do our Kemetic ancestors translate, present to us new beginnings in their symbolism and in their text? Today, I want to talk about the power of new beginnings, and perhaps it's even more relevant today because we're sitting in a space where we are about, when I say we, I'm talking about a large swath of the country, we are about tomorrow to experience a major event. For so many people, they are going to see a full eclipse. That means that Ra, as radiant as ever, sending down streams of divine life and energy, will be blocked by the moon. And it is absolutely a magnificent thing, because you should know that the moon is like 400 times smaller than the sun, but the moon is, but the sun is like 400 times further away from the sun, so that in this instance, the moon is nowhere near the size of the sun, but because of its proximity to us and its distance from the sun, it can virtually cover the path of the sun. We will be in day and then in night. Here in New York City, we should have a 90% solar eclipse. I'm hoping that if it is not extremely cloudy or overcast, that we'll still be able to see quite a bit of that, and that will be magnificent. But there are people all over. I'm talking about a path that spans obviously into Mexico and all the way up into Canada, a path that goes by Buffalo, New York. Folks there are rushing to see this in its fullness. And it will be magnificent for so many. So many. Just think about what our ancestors would have done on a day like this. You should recognize that when we think about the sun, we think of the sun as the source of life on the earth. The sun as a masculine entity, personified by Ra. And the moon is often considered a feminine entity. What is the name that our Kemetic ancestors used for the moon very often? For those of you who are unfamiliar, you may note that it seems that the end of the Middle Kingdom found a family in the 17th dynasty that seems to be connected to the moon quite powerfully. How did they render vocally the divine power of the moon? How many of you remember this and are able to vocalize it. What do we call it? And as I ask you that question, imagine the divine feminine is going to stand in the path of the divine masculine. They will come together and create darkness. I see Herosar Ankh Amun-Ra has given us the right answer. Ea. And Khonsu is connected to the moon as well, but Ea is the power of the force of the moon. And so we have Ahotep, we have Amos. Amos or Ames means born of the moon. Ahotep means that divine moon, lunar deity is at peace. So that's one of the ways that our ancestors put forth the power of the moon. And yes, Jahim-Ra, Khonsu, and Jehuti are also connected to the phases of the moon. You may recognize that Jehuti has the phases of the moon often on his head. This is powerful. Think about when the moon, this divine feminine, covers the rays of the sun. We are talking about a divine union. I would even describe it as divine intercourse between these powerful energies that blankets us in darkness, that asks us to meditate, that asks us to take a moment out of our busy day and recognize the divine above and below, that allows us to think about just how insignificant we might feel on this earth. That something as regular as the shine of the moon, of the shine of the sun, the rays of the sun, could end for a moment. I believe that it will occur on Eastern Standard Time around 3:25. And if you're in the path of totality, you are going to see quite that magnificent event. Now remember, the rays of the sun, the rays of Ra, the Ra's of Re are powerful enough that you should not be looking at it directly. You could damage your eyes. There's a magnificent, just a small bit of cardboard with mylar over it that many people are getting to protect their eyes. Shades might not be enough. The mylar and the cardboard would be a better protection. And there are even some people that have cardboard devices with small pinholes that allow them to see more clearly. But please be careful when you experience this. I would suggest you go out moments before and do a sun salutation. Recognize the power of the sun. Bask in the power of the sun and recognize that the divine feminine is coming into intercourse with the sun and then allowing the sun to remain ever most ebullient once more. Be prepared for this event. I think the next time that this kind of event will occur in this part of the world, especially a part of the world close to where I am, I know that I believe it's in 2048 or something like that. It's going to be quite some time from now. So please enjoy. Please enjoy. And I don't want you to just go out there and recognize it for its beauty, its visual interplay, but I want you to think about what this would mean for the practitioners of the Kemetic traditions, the practitioners of African spirituality. If this is not a time to think about the world anew, I don't know what it is. Nesut Biti-Heru says, we are people of the sun. Our eyes contain enough melanin to stare into the face of the sun, eclipse or no eclipse. I don't believe that that is true, dear Sen. The sun is powerful enough that it will damage your eyes. Many people actually get their eyes damaged. I see you're saying you require no eye protection. There are many who can look into the sun and that does not harm them, but I just want to caution you all about that. Okay, be prepared so that you're not going to harm yourself. Just don't stare at it because it can do damage. It is that powerful. It is that powerful. Please be cautious so that you do not harm yourself. And okay, so you practice sun gazing for 3 years. That's you, but be sure that when you talk about stuff like that, Others who have not been practicing for 3 years can harm themselves. So I'm glad that you've practiced, that you are giving the caveat. Please recognize that many folks are not doing that. And if you are going to do sun salutation and practice sun gazing, the best time for those of you who have not been doing it as long is to do it primarily at dawn. When the sun is coming up, you can look at it more carefully and really ensure that you don't harm yourself. So you can do that. It's best to do it then and not to do it when you are looking at the sun directly at its height. Remember, this is going to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can harm your eyes. And some of you will experience that if you're not careful. Okay? So now, if some of you have been practicing this for a long time and you're prepared for what you're doing, then just do that. But when you are doing it, if you're not constantly staring at the sun and you're not aware of what will harm you and what will not, just be very careful about doing that. Okay? All right. So as we talk about the power of this beginning, I want you to look at this image. Some of you have seen this before. Isn't it peculiar? Aren't you seeing Heru on horseback? How often do you see that? Dressed in some really interesting clothing and spearing a crocodile. This is an interesting moment. It comes from a window fragment from the Coptic era of ancient Kemet. This is after the Greeks and the Romans, but I want you to remember that this is just their retelling. This can really just be their retelling of the battle of Heru against Set. And in this instance, even more, a version that is similar to Set that we could call Apep. This particular image, as you can look at it closely here and see that that is the falcon-headed Heru. This particular image goes back to something quite old, much older. Look at this. Can you see that our ancestors in the tombs have rendered this divine snake in many instances? Snakes are not always considered elements of chaos. Here is one snake that is protective of a version that some would call Khnum and others would call a version of Khnum, which is Amun. I want you to look at this. But clearly then we see images where Heru is doing battle on behalf of Ra against the serpent. And you can see that he is spearing him here. This is long before the Greeks and the Romans, long before the Ptolemaic era. You can see that this concept is an ancient one. So what you were seeing before is an echo in the more recent period. You'll continually see our ancestors recognizing that some of the challenges that we face can be well symbolized by the movements of a serpent, by the fact that its coils can be seen as individual problems. Look at the serpent on this one where there's a spear, a dagger in each of the emanations on the lower right. This is one of the ways that you can see that our ancestors are displaying this battle that we must do, this consistent battle we must do with the elements, the aspects of chaos that comes into our existence. I know you know what I'm talking about. You have felt the chaos. You have felt the chaos. It occurs in your daily life, does it not? Does it not seem like there are entities that are poised against you at times, prepared to set you apart from the mission that you are on? that seem to be in some ways prepared to prevent you from being an element ensconced in Ma'at. This could be personified or symbolized as the battle of Heru or the battle of Ra against Apep, the snake Apep, who the Greeks end up calling Apopis. Look at how it's coiled. By the way, the coil in the largest picture seems to even be a symbol that we would later call infinity. This conflict is always present. And we must always be prepared to bring things into balance in this battle against Apep. That Apep is constantly dealing with the issues, dealing with the work of Heru. And when we are in a place where we are beginning to think about things anew, we should perhaps think about how we are going to dispense with Apep, this chaos that is in our lives. This is a challenge. Nesut Biti Heru, it could be helpful for you to email me at jed@shrineofmaat.org. And I'm also seeing that Jenny Khan Mallow says, 3 days ago, you and your 2 sons almost got shot inside of your house. What? 3 bullets came into your living room window? What? We must say Tuan Ter for the health and safety of your family. I'm so pleased that you are with us and that you are not injured and that your father is not, your family is not injured. We must say thank you to the divine. What a moment. Wow. Absolutely, we could see that as an element of Apep. Just imagine that this is not someone that probably was aiming for you or your family. They were simply doing Isfet, practicing Isfet, firing a weapon, and it comes into your home. Tuan Ter that you are safe and that your children are safe. I'm hoping that the police, the authorities, are going to do something to try to give some thought to how to ensure your safety. And I'm hoping that your sons and the rest of your family are not struggling with the remaining emotions, psychological trauma from that kind of event. I'm telling you, Apep can be busy. Apep is always a challenge to us, especially when we are not thinking about Apep. They got one of the bullets. They pulled it out of the wall is what you mean. I hope that they're able to do something. I really do. Yes, Jahim Ra. Yes, we were talking about the fact that Apep looks like the concept of infinity at times. Here's the image in the tomb. Yes, yes. That's what we see. You need to be prepared and aware of the fact that even when our ancestors represent Ma'at, they show you Ma'at as a scale. And if you look at this scale, this balance scale, it certainly comes in and out of focus. It moves ever so subtly. And in doing that, we should recognize that Ma'at is something that is in flux. And that means that Apep is constantly shifting the Mekite, constantly moving the scales. This is what we should expect and prepare for. That's how this works. I know that you understand this, Ramesh. So as you're preparing for new beginnings, as you're preparing for what must come next, what do we do? How should we think about these new beginnings? And I want to even say our Kemetic ancestors were masters of time. They thought about time. They thought about beginnings all the time. Take a look at this. This is usually called a clepsydra. Clepsydra. Now, I do not know the Kemetic term. Clepsydra is not a Kemetic term. But you should be prepared for the idea that your ancestors were so focused on the movements of the sun, which create time. You do know the movements of the sun is what we are measuring when we're measuring time, right? I'm not sure if you've thought about that. But this is actually, a clepsydra is actually a water clock. It was actually created so discreetly and so precisely that they could pour water in and measure the evacuation of the water. This would allow them to actually time things by using water. Ankin Ma'at to send Reggie Gomez, who I had lots of time spending time with, just talking in the museum and on the bus. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear Sen. I'm honored that you're here. We had a really great time yesterday, you and your good brother. We talked forever. I mean, I really did enjoy talking with you, and we need to meet and chop it up soon. I'm glad that you're here. And Ankin to Jabari Simba. I don't know if I said Ankin to Jabari Simba, or to Jahim Ray, Ankin Ma'at to you, or to Minnie, who says that she is from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and has been part of this for 3 years. Ankin Ma'at to you all. If I've missed any of you, it is simply because I am cooking on something here, but I want you to recognize I am still honored that you have all come and to spend part of your Sunday with us. And of course, you know that our ancestors were focused on looking at the movements of the heavens for a considerable period of time. What is this site called? Where is it? What does it tell us about our African ancestors in the Hapi, now known as Nile Valley region? What does this tell us? What is this site called? Where is it? Why is it important? Sen Jason says, Nab to Playa, Ankin Ma'at, and Dwa to you. It is called Nab to Playa. It is a stone circle, a stone calendar that was created. Absolutely, we believe that this may be somewhere around 7,500 BCE. We're talking about something that is over 9,000 years old. Think about this. That your ancestors in the region of Kemet that existed, that we have evidence of high thinking of long before there was a Stonehenge. Everybody want to talk about Stonehenge. Long before there was a Gregorian calendar, we see our ancestors measuring the discrete movements of the heavens. I want you to recognize that this shows absolutely the importance of intricate thought and connections of the divine above, so as below concept, thousands of years before we see it with other people. Thousands of years. This is critically important. And I must say, Ankin Ma'at to Musa Nixele from South Africa, Johannesburg. That might be the furthest point away. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to Sinette Newt. Michelle Mendez coming to us, I believe, still from Boston, from Beantown. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sinette. Haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully we'll see you soon. We'll figure out a way to see you soon. Ankin Ma'at to Nebu-Kemetic Spectrum. Ankin Ma'at to you. And I know who that is. I just don't remember. I know the name, and I know you're something else. Ankin Ma'at to you. And Ankin Ma'at to all of you who are thinking about how the the movements of the heavens should actually give you deeper thought into your movements here on the earth. As we think about the newness that must be about in our lives, I want you to recognize that your ancestors were thinking about this. This obviously is often called the Wheel of Dendera. It is a calendar that actually looks at the movements of the heavens and gives us the first depiction that we can find of the zodiac. Now, know that this was created during a time that was probably in the Ptolemaic era, but that doesn't mean that the Greeks created it. And if this was truly their thinking, why is it we see it first here? But you'll see the zodiac here. And I'm going to tell you, this wonderful calendar, the original is now in the Louvre in France. Napoleon had his soldiers dynamite it from the ceiling of the Temple of Dendera. Temple of Dendera, I'm sorry. Dendera is the one that's here in Manhattan now. And they took it back to France. It is now in the Louvre. The item that is there now is actually, believe it or not, a replica. It is a shame. It is a shame. But your ancestors were following the movements of the heavens forever and prepared for thinking about how they should become anew. As you think about newness, clearly, and we think about the wisdom of Kemetic symbol, we can easily say that the wisdom of renewal, the symbol of renewal, could be best articulated as the Neb-kheperu-ra. Look at this beautiful symbol here. I know there are some of you who have heard this as a scarab. That is what the Greeks called it. The Kemetic people continually thought about this beetle statue, this beetle image. Here goes a brass one that I picked up when I was in Kemet one year. Beautiful. Beautiful. I find it absolutely amazing that our ancestors thought about these things, pondered these things, and as they pondered these things, they continued to think how the world around them could help them connect to some of the most important ideas that they should bring into their thinking and help them drive their existence in Ma'at. And it's amazing to me that they thought that one of the most divine symbols of you being and becoming, of you transforming and birthing yourself anew, would be the symbol of this little beetle. I know we think it looks beautiful here, but I want us to remember that this beetle is actually an entity, an insect that spends all of its day rolling in filth. Those of you who are members of the shrine know what I'm going to say. This is an insect that spends its life in the doo-doo. And I say it constantly because I know that the term doo-doo makes you uncomfortable. I think doo-doo should make you uncomfortable. But how in the world could our Kemetic ancestors look at an entity that spends all of its time in doo-doo, in filth, and say this is an adequate meditation on being divine, on renewing ourselves, on moving to our higher selves, and becoming the 2.0 version of you? Why did they take this insect, which some people would think was nasty, disgusting, despicable? How did they take this beetle and say, how do we use these symbols in our lives? I love that comment, Jabari Simba. It said, the symptomatic thought behind this awesome creature makes it very special. Yes, I would agree with you entirely. Look at this. By the way, that beetle does have what we might call wings, although it doesn't fly very often. But look at those wings. Those aren't beetle wings. Those are falcon wings. And you see no ball of filth or doo-doo or dung. You see the image of the sun. And it sits on that ball, which is a symbol of Neb. And it has 3 strokes under its backside. By the way, this is not just a beautiful symbol, but it's the name of a divine Kemetic ancestor. Whose name is this? Did you know that this symbol is also a name? The way that it is rendered here. Whose symbol is this? Who does this belong to? Let's see who's going to answer that question quickly. Come on now. Question Me says, it's like they're saying life is poop, but you can make it into something glorious. Yes, Question Me. That's directly where we're going. Minnie says, even though you spend time in the doo-doo, what you will do in spite of it. You rise above it. Yeah, that's getting to it. That's getting to it. I see Dark Star Osirica says, Heru? You could say it's a version of Heru, but I want to ask you, this actual configuration is the name of someone. Come on now, where are my ringers? Anaki says Jedef-ra, not Jedef-ra. Super Savvy says Sekhmet. Come on, where are my ringers in here? There's some people who have been studying this with us that will tell me exactly the answer I'm looking for. Sinet Della says Khepra. This is the Khepra, but it's more than that. Whose name is this? To know that that is who we sometimes call King Tut. You ain't gonna hear me call him King Tut. He's not my homeboy. I don't get to abbreviate his name. This is King Tutankhamen. That's whose name this is. That's whose name this is. I want you to know that his throne name was Neb. Do you see the Neb is the bowl here? Neb can be translated as all or Lord. In this instance, I'm going to say it's Lord. Neb-kheperu. See the Kheperu here? There's the beetle. Kheperu. Do you see the strokes under its backside here? That makes this plural. And then Ra, the symbol of the sun above. So his throne name is Neb-kheperu-ra. Did you know that when you see it configured this way, you are referencing this ancestor? Did you know that? You do now. That's right, Super Savvy. This is Neb-kheperu-ra. And this symbol is part of the description of his name. In fact, I'm going to tell you, I got a wonderful Neb-kheperu-ra amulet in Kemet a few years ago. And you know the funny thing? I don't even wear it yet. I haven't even worn it. I don't know why I haven't worn it. I don't have a good reason. It is magnificent. Look at this. Magnificent. Look at this. Silver and inlaid stone. Look at that. There it is. It's not gold with the inlaid stone, and even the back of it was well carved. Look at that. I love this piece. I have never worn it. What's going on with me? How come I haven't worn this? Sinet, oh yeah, you saw me yesterday. Wouldn't it have made sense for me to be wearing this yesterday? You better pray for your boy. I need to wear it. This is not a piece by Baba Heru. This one I got in Kemet. This one I got in Kemet. I'm going to tell you, Baba has beautiful pieces that are similar. Here's the one that's raw. This is Baba's work. Look at this one. Magnificent, is it not? Now, this one is more expensive than the one I showed you. Come on now. This one is hand carved. Come on now. This one has gold. Don't tell anybody it's gold. Yes, there's gold in it. Gold and silver with inlaid stones. This one was done by hand. That's Baba's work right there. I've had that one for many, many years. And I want you to know that when you are able to wear these emblems, not only is it beautiful, but it helps you remember the mission you're on. I'm going to wear the Khepera tomorrow. I don't care where I'm going. I'm going to wear that Khepera tomorrow. fact, I'm going to Hunter to teach tomorrow. I'm going to wear it to Hunter tomorrow. Do you see the Keper here? Kheperu-ra, we should say. Do you see Kheperu-ra's unique relationship to this divine lady? I know you know her name. In fact, we have a wonderful Sonnet in our shrine who has taken this as her name. She is Sonnet Newt. You heard me mention her. She's here. She's there as Michelle Mendez. She's here. I'm not sharing my screen. Dwa for telling me that. You mean I wonder what I wasn't showing. Was I not showing you oh my goodness. No, I think I just stopped when I showed you the pieces. So you did see Neb-kheperu-ra. Here we go. There we go. So you can see that this is Newt, right? That lady that bends over backwards. She is the lady of the heavens. In fact, I remember our ancestor and warrior scholar, Dr. Ben, used to say very often that heaven is between the legs of the black woman. He was really referring to Newt, but it certainly got a few gasps in the crowd whenever he would say it. Think about this. Powerful. Powerful. You can see this lady who's, by the way, you should know that the way that she is stretched, she is also giving you, she's also telling us that she's stretching this way because she is the glyph for heavens, the glyph that we call pet sometimes. That's who she is. As she stretches over, she is known to swallow the sun at night and then give birth to it in the morning. We've been called sun worshipers. I would not agree with that assessment, but I do understand that they are actually trying to vocalize the fact that we practice the divine above and so below, and we recognize the essential essence of the sun, and it's our relationship to it, that only through the sun are we able to exist on this plane. We personified the sun as Ra and connected it to the movements of many deities, the behaviors, the symbolic relationship of many deities, from Heru to As to, I mean, I could go on and on and on. You see the sun in many different forms. But even the sun has a mother. Even the sun, S-U-N, is a sun, S-O-N. And you will see that as she gives birth, the Keper receives, can you see the Keper there? Keper receives the sun and it travels across the sky. This is powerful. Oh, and let me say Ankh and Ma'at to my dear brother, the scribe Sanjeti. I see you made your way in. How are you, dear brother? Haven't seen you in person in a minute. I'm sending you myrrh to your queen and to your family. Please give myrrh to your queen, who I also haven't seen in a while, and I also love dearly. We love you. I'm so glad that you're here. Let me say Ankh and Ma'at to also Curtis Sali. I don't think I've seen that name before. Ankh and Ma'at to Thick. Ankh and Ma'at, who's saying greeting from Texas. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to Hudi Heka Keperu. I don't think I greeted you yet today. Ankh and Ma'at to all of you who are here. Ankh and Ma'at. Let's continue. Let's continue. Now, you know, the Keper has, in many ways, ruminated in the thinking of the West. We've seen so much that's supposed to reference the Keper, or as the Western people call it, the Scarab. It has been rendered and imaged in many, many different ways. Look at this vehicle. It's a really interesting looking vehicle. It's from the 1930s and it's called the Stout Scarab. Look at that Keper on the front. This vehicle is really interesting, is it not? Is it not? Fascinating. Ankin Ma'at to Nathaniel Crawford. Ankin Ma'at to Marie Celine Ingo Baling Duport. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear queen. Ankin Ma'at to Jennifer Tidwell. Ankin Ma'at to Arek Aru. Ankin Ma'at to you all. Ankin Ma'at to you all. Look at this vehicle. Is it not interesting? I'd rock this down the street, wouldn't you? I mean, as you look at this, is it not clear that the vehicle that is usually referenced by Volkswagen is supposed to be a version of the Kheper? Is that not clear to you? Had you thought of it before? Sometimes they call it the Volkswagen bug. What bug do you think they're referencing? You got to recognize that we are once again seeing that these individuals in the West are drawing from the concepts of our Kemetic ancestors. Do you see what I mean? I'm talking about that vehicle known as the VW Beetle. I know you're familiar with it. They call it the Beetle. They're talking about the Kheper. Are they not? Why is my computer taking so long to render this image? Come on now, there we go. They're thinking about the Kheper. That's what they're doing. You know how popular these were? They're newer versions now. They've brought it back. They're thinking about the Kheper. That's what's happening here. Here's the most recent version, the updated version. Once again, drawing from the legacies, the ideas of this. You're going to see it all around you if you have eyes to see and ears to hear. You will realize that it is all around you. Fascinating. And I want you to recognize that this symbol of creating themselves, the symbol of resurrection, the symbol of renewal, the symbol of being self-created is the concept that comes from the Kheper. And our early adherents to Christianity recognize this. Look at this. In early Christianity, I want you to recognize that St. Ambrose, the Archbishop of Milan, called Jesus the good Scarabaeus. St. Epiphanius called him, he said he was the Scarabaeus of God. And St. Augustine, perhaps St. Augustine is the most important theologian in early Christianity. St. Augustine, who is sometimes called the doctor of the church, who, by the way, says very negative things about the old ancient traditions. Not sure if you're aware of that. I'm not sure if you are aware of that, but listen to what he says. He says that Jesus is my own good beetle, not because he is only begotten, not because he himself, the author of himself, has taken on the form of mortals, but because he has rolled himself in our filth and chooses to be born from this filth itself. You should understand that this means that those early Christians were actually thinking of Jesus as the Kheper. Did you know this? I know that when I was raised Roman Catholic, I would hear that Jesus was the self-begotten. And I had to think about what that meant. He created himself? They were trying to reference an earlier concept. Did you know that some early Christian crosses have been inscribed with the Kheper? I've read it in several books. I'm still looking for images. I bet you when I finally get to Vatican City, I'm going to see it. Think about this. When we say that Yeshua is the self-created, I don't know if you know that those people who wrote that were thinking of the Kheper. Yet, you know, Christianity was not greatly influenced, was not created by the Kemetic tradition. Give me a break. Give me a break. This is where this comes from. That's where the concept comes from. Here's the Kheper here. Look at this. This is the actual beetle on the the ball of dung. Ankin Ma'at to Tiana Cat, by the way. I don't think I saw your name before. And Ankin Ma'at to Siobhan. Ankin Ma'at to you. It is so wonderful that you are here. Much more to you and your family. You know I just chopped it up with your husband, your king man. I am so honored that you're here. We miss you. We miss you. We miss you. I have been looking at you on social media, coming into your own and teaching on social media. I'm seeing you, dear Sinette. Hopefully I will see you with my own eyes soon. Look at this beetle. I'm going to tell you that I actually, when I was in Kemet a few years ago, I was actually moving with a camel into the Nubian desert. And where they let us off, obviously the camels had been sitting there. They had dropped lots of dung, and we saw the Khepers taking them. And once I saw them taking and rolling the balls of dung, I dropped to my knees on and got in onto all fours and was looking face to face with the Kheper, just watching it move and watching it move. And I said, here, I can actually see this happen with my own eyes. And our Nubian brother tried to grab my shoulder and say, brother, this is the let me say what he said. Brother, this is shit. And I said, I know what it is. I want to see this. They thought I had lost my mind. I wanted to see this with my own eyes. If I had been able to take home that beetle, I would have. Beetle, it was a bunch of them. They thought I was crazy. Maybe I was. Maybe I was. This is a really incredible entity. Look at it roll. Watch how this beetle actually turns itself on this ball. And I think it's fascinating that it rolls it backwards. It looks at where it has gone as it goes forward. This beetle is not just a divine symbol. I believe that it is the Kemetic version, an earlier version of the Sankofa. Did you hear what I said? It looks backwards to roll forward, and the ball of dung is its future. This is the Kemetic version of the Sankofa. And I want us to think about how this symbol should help us move into our new selves. Let's talk a little bit about the beetle. Here is a scholarly article in Current Biology. Did you know that the Kheper uses the Milky Way for orientation? I know you didn't hear what I said. Did you know that the Kheper, in order to know how to move, it actually reads the stars? Did you know that? This is a scholarly paper from 2013. When the moon is absent from the night sky, stars remain as celestial visual clues. Nonetheless, only birds, seals, and humans are known to use the stars for orientation. Did you know that birds and seals use the stars for orientation as well as humans? Did you know that? Let's continue. African ball rolling dung beetles exploit the sun, the move, and the celestial polarization pattern to move along straight paths away from the intense competition at the dung pile. Even on clear moonless nights, many beetles still manage to orient along straight paths. This led us to hypothesize that dung beetles exploit the starry sky for orientation, a feat that has, to our knowledge, never been demonstrated in an insect. Here we show that dung beetles transport their dung balls along straight paths under a starlit sky, but lose this ability under overcast conditions. In a planetarium, the beetles orient equally well when rolling under a fully starlit sky as when only the Milky Way is present. The use of bidirectional celestial cues for orientation has been proposed for vertebrates, spiders, insects, but never proven. This finding represents the first convincing demonstration for the use of the starry sky for orientation in insects and provides the first documentation of the use of the Milky Way for orientation. This is fascinating. There's a reason why our ancestors utilize the behaviors of the animals and insects and natural entities to allow us to think about how we do our work, how we remain steadfast to our mission. There is a reason why the Keper is a sacred symbol. And ain't just because of the filth. But where does the filth come from? Where does the doo-doo come from? Here's another article in Science Alert from Nature. It says, scientists have finally figured out how dung beetles use celestial navigation to return home. 2016. When you look at these insects, sometimes you will see them move around the ball and then look to the heavens. This is powerful. And here you are seeing the Shen on the side of a chair that belongs to Tutankhamun, and you can see that that is his name. Neb-kheperu-ra. You can see it in the Shen there. This symbol is of critical importance. How do you use it in your life? I want you to recognize that the Keper, the symbol of rebirth and renewal, in the Kemetic tradition is a really critical one. Why? Our ancestors were saying something key. As you look at this entity, you don't see a ball of dung. You see the sun, which means that the symbol of the sun is telling us something about the ball of dung. Correct? Remember, they call us sun worshipers. How does this entity hold the sun? In my conception, I believe that our ancestors were saying that your greatest transformation, Keper, your greatest transformation will be in understanding your doo-doo. That those things that are troubling you, those things that are hampering you, must be dealt with in order for you to become the divine being. That is why in the shrine we do what is called the Keper process. I will not speak more about it here. That's for initiation. But I want you to know that as you are considering how to become a divine being, our ancestors are saying, look to your filth, look to your doo-doo. You can even look to it, maybe you call it your baggage, the stuff that is paining you, the stuff that has wounded you, the stuff that has lacerated you, the stuff that has caused the pain on your soul, in your heart, in your mind, in your being. Instead of pretending it's not there, it's doo-doo. People who live with you, people who experience you, people who spend time with you, when you try to hide it, they smell it. Every time you speak, it's coming out. Every time you move, it's coming out. You breaking up doo-doo molecules and it's going into people's noses. They know where it is, and you trying to hide it. Our ancestors are saying it is time for you to delve into your doo-doo. That is where your greatest transformation will be. You think that you are being controlled by your past. Well, yes, you must be aware of it. You must be instructed by it. You must become a student of it. That's why the Keper looks backwards to go forwards. Do you hear what I'm saying? Dr. Jesse Lynn said, not doo-doo molecules. I really did say doo-doo molecules. That's what's happening when you smell things, right? It's the molecules that are reaching the senses in your nose. Did you know that? I'm saying that your ancestors were saying, in order for you to be new, you have to deal with it. So here are my steps for embracing a new beginning. Can we all use a new beginning this spring? Here are my steps. And Sanette Oye knows that I often use the word doo-doo. I was wondering where she was. She's always like, he gonna say doo-doo. She used to say that. She used to type that, say it. We know that Jabari's gonna say doo-doo. And yes, I said doo-doo. Because I know it makes you uncomfortable. And your doo-doo should. You gotta get into it. You gotta wallow in it. You gotta contend with it in order to become the shining being. So here goes my keys to becoming the victorious Kheper. Here we go. I say that first you should dream big. Set goals which will inspire you. Then you should create small, realistic steps that will help you accomplish your goal. You have these big goals. You're inspired by them, but create the intermediate steps that will allow you to set an appropriate pace. Then you have to understand your past, but not be chained by it. You have to deal with your past. That is what the Kheper does. That's what the Kheper does. In the West, they say, go back and fetch it. In Kemet, they would say, go back and sniff for it. Understand the past, but don't be chained by it. 4, make a promise to yourself. Write it down. Make a video. Speak to yourself. As you create these things that will remind you of the journey you're on, they will assist you when it gets hard. Number 5, celebrate the small victories and learn from the setbacks if they occur. Number 6, share your goals with the right people. What do I mean by the right people? There will people who will try to hold you accountable, people who will try to assist you, people that will love you while you're on your journey, people who won't look forward to your stumbles so that they can enjoy your failure. You know, some people enjoy failure, right? Why? They enjoy failure because when you fail, it allows them to be ordinary. It allows them to wallow in their doo-doo. It allows them to say, who did they think they were going to be? How dare them think big? They laugh at you because they've become comfortable in it. So you have to share your goals with the right people so they can help you. And number 7, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Okay, so it didn't turn out exactly the way you wanted. Does that mean that you're a failure? Or does it mean that if you had not gone through this process, if you had not actually set goals and create steps and understand what has troubled you or prevented you or led you astray before, if you didn't actually make promises to yourself, if you didn't celebrate the victories and learning from the challenges, if you didn't share it with the right people, then all of this would mean that sometimes it doesn't exactly end up the way you expected. Should you let the perfect be the enemy of the good? If the plan doesn't happen exactly how you planned, celebrate where you are, because if you did not make a plan, you would be in the same place. Celebrate what you've done and recognize that there's more work to be done. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. These are my steps. My steps for being new. And I'm hoping that this new period where the spring has come forward, this new period we're about to see divine celestial intercourse between Ra and Yah. I hope that you will be inspired to attempt to move towards the 2.0 version of yourself. If your spiritual tradition is not helping you be better, not assisting you in getting up when you stumbled and fallen flat on your face, then discard it. It is not good for you. Too many people use spiritual traditions to cast aspersions on other people. They spend all their time telling you who's evil while doing filth themselves. That is not a spiritual tradition that one should spend their hard-worn time with. If it's not helping you be better, discard it. At least do something enjoyable. Go watch a television show and discard that foolishness that you might think is your spirituality. If your spirituality is not helping you become better, discard it. Draw from the inspiration, the wisdom of our Kemetic ancestors. Allow yourself to be who you must be, to become what you must become, to renew yourself in the way that you must. It is our tradition. It is the traditions of our ancestors that allow you to do this. Embrace them, Kmtic. Do those things that you must do so that you can be who you must be. I'm hoping that you'll set some goals, some effective goals, and move towards them in this day. And I want to say dua to all of you who have spent time with us today, remembering, embracing, celebrating the traditions of your ancient African ancestors. I'm so pleased to have been here with you. And remember, at our next Kemetic Ascension, I'm going to be looking for some of you to do the opening of the way and to also do some Hesi for us. You're going to get the link at the beginning of the session, and I want you to come on in. So, with that, I say the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Dua so much for your donations. We received several of them. Dua so much for your assistance. We don't do this for money, but we need money to do it. And I want you to recognize that it is of critical importance for us to be about our business and about our work. Be an element of Ma'at. And now our final affirmation. Rupu nuku amiku kemam keperu and enter hayu. I am that I am, a shining being dwelling in the light of the Most High. Please remember that you are a shining being and get about doing your work. With that, let me go ahead and say, Shemin Ma'at, go forth in divine balance. I look forward to seeing you soon. Peace.